Hi, I'm Toro, and welcome to Toro's History Lullabies. All my life, I've needed a little background noise to fall asleep. For years, it was just the hum of a fan or some soft static. But ever since wireless earbuds came into my life, I've found myself drifting off to podcasts and documentaries, learning and relaxing at the same time. That's why I started making these videos. Calming stories from history, told gently, to help you unwind, learn something new, and hopefully fall asleep a little easier. So get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's step quietly into the past. And if you enjoy these stories, I'd love it if you gave the video a like and subscribed for more. Sweet dreams. The world in 1900. Hello, dear dreamer. I'm Toro, and I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, I invite you to close your eyes. Loosen the world from your shoulders. And take a deep, slow breath with me. We're about to drift across time. Not just back. But far, far back. To the edge of 2 centuries. The closing sigh of the 1800s. And the first curious breath of the 1900s. A time when candlelight still flickered in many homes. Yet electric bulbs had begun to bloom like stars indoors. When horses pulled carts down muddy roads. But strange, gasoline-powered contraptions began to grumble and crawl. A moment poised delicately. Between the elegance of the old world. And the whirlwind of the new. This is the year 1900. It is a year of contrasts. Of empires and engineers. Of lullabies sung in every language. As the world gently sleeps beneath oil lamps and open windows. Tonight, let us lie among those quiet hours. Let us listen to the ticking clocks, the train whistles in the distance. And the first whispers of the future. Let's begin. World events. As we walk through the halls of 1900. Let's listen to the wider world as it gently shifts and stirs. China and the Boxer Rebellion. In northern China, the air is tense. The Boxer Rebellion, a rising tide of anti-foreign, anti-Christian sentiment, has begun to boil into violence. The Boxers, known formally as the Society of Righteous and Harmonious Fists, believe they can make themselves invulnerable to bullets through ritual and spirit. They are farmers, laborers, and townspeople. Fed up with foreign intrusion and imperial powers carving up their land like pie. By summer, the streets of Beijing tremble with marching feet. Foreign legations are besieged. An 8-nation alliance, including Britain, Japan, Russia, and the US, responds with force. There is fear. There is sorrow. But tonight, we simply watch from afar. As lanterns glow in the courtyards of the Forbidden City. And the winds of change brush the golden rooftops of a sleeping dynasty. Paris, a world's fair of wonders. Now we turn westward, to Paris. The Exposition Universelle is in full bloom. Imagine yourself walking along the Seine. Beneath the iron arms of the Eiffel Tower. Which now lights up at night in glowing threads of electricity. Over 50 million visitors will pass through the exhibition gates this year. Pavilions from around the world display marvels. A moving sidewalk, a diesel-powered engine. Even a talking phonograph from Mr. Edison. There are sculptures and silks. Towering fountains and endless corridors of invention. And everywhere, light, sound, and music. It is a fair of the past and the possible. Of celebration, but also of contrast. For even as beauty is displayed, the fair also includes the troubling, human zoos. Where colonized people are exhibited like artifacts. A sobering reminder that the march into the 20th century carries both brilliance and blindness. The Second Boer War. In South Africa, the Second Boer War continues. The British Empire, seeking to consolidate power, clashes with Dutch-descended Boer republics. What began as skirmishes in 1899 has now turned into a prolonged conflict. With guerrilla warfare and scorched earth tactics. The veldt is dry and endless. Gold mines sparkle beneath it. But above, there is dust, fear, and resilience. This year sees the establishment of the first concentration camps. Not yet infamous. But quietly filled with families displaced by the conflict. We pass over this landscape slowly. With sorrow. Not to dwell in pain. But to witness, gently, what was. The gold rush in the Yukon and Australia. Far to the north, in the Yukon Territory. Gold prospectors are still clinging to hope. Though the peak of the Klondike gold rush has passed. The air is still filled with the scent of pine. And rivers carry whispers of treasure. Men in wool coats pan icy streams by day. And warm their hands around campfires by night. Telling stories of fortunes found, or lost. Down under, in Western Australia. Another gold rush blooms. The town of Kalgoorlie grows almost overnight. Its dust trails winding between tents and timber saloons. The Southern Cross blinks above. While dreams gleam beneath the soil. Hawaii and the Pacific. On the warm winds of the Pacific. The Hawaiian Islands stir under new governance. Having been annexed by the United States in 1898. Hawaii becomes an official U.S. territory in 1900. Queen Liliuokalani, once sovereign. Now lives in quiet resistance. Writing music and poetry as the tides of empire sweep over her people. Palm fronds sway gently. Islanders sing songs of the past. And America's flag is hoisted over Honolulu. Its stars growing more numerous year by year. Daily life around the world. Now let us step away from thrones and treaties. And into kitchens, porches, parlors, and streets. Into the life most people know. Simple, daily rhythms. Gentle moments. In England. It's early morning in a red-bricked London neighborhood. Chimneys puff a slow, smoky breath. Into the grey morning sky. The baker is already at work. A milkman walks his familiar route. Glass bottles clinking in rhythm. Children in stiff woolen uniforms. Make their way to school through mist and puddle. Inside homes, cast iron stoves warm up the parlor. Tea is brewed. A newspaper is unfolded. The talk is of empire, cricket, and perhaps, the weather. In the United States. In New York City, electric trolleys clang down the avenues. Automobiles, called horseless carriages, make heads turn. But mostly, it is still horses. Men in bowler hats buy apples from wooden carts. Young girls sell flowers near Fifth Avenue. In the countryside, families gather for meals. Of stewed beans, cornbread, and preserved fruits. Children help on the farm before school. And the radio has not yet arrived. Evenings are spent by the fire, with stories read aloud. Or simple songs played on harmonicas and fiddles. In Japan. Tokyo in 1900 is transforming. The Meiji Restoration has swept away the old order. And in its place, modern rail lines and Western suits begin to appear. But traditions still bloom. At sunrise, the temples ring out in soft gongs. In tatami-matted homes, families kneel together for breakfast. Grilled fish, steamed rice, pickled vegetables. The streets are lined with lanterns and merchant stalls. Selling silks, rice cakes, ink brushes. Students in uniforms walk with books tucked under their arms. A new generation learning science and arithmetic. Alongside calligraphy and Confucian verse. In Russia. The peasants in the countryside begin their day with black bread and tea. They walk long distances to tend fields still worked by hand. The Industrial Revolution has yet to reach many of them. But in St. Petersburg, grand balls continue under golden chandeliers. Tchaikovsky's music echoes through cold marble halls. Tsars rule, but rumblings of unrest stir quietly in university cafes. The samovar steams in kitchens. Icons glow on shelves. And outside, snow falls in gentle, endless hushes. Elsewhere. In India, life is vibrant and fragrant. The markets are alive with spice and sound. Under British rule, cities like Calcutta and Bombay grow. Railways chugging through jungles and mountains. In Mexico, President Porfirio Diaz builds railways and opera houses. While the countryside wrestles with poverty and land inequality. In the Ottoman Empire, twilight begins to fall. Coffee houses are filled with men reading newspapers aloud. Debating reform beneath ornate minarets. Across the globe, the world of 1900 is a patchwork quilt. Stitched with steam, sweat, tradition, and change. Science, inventions, and technology. While many lived simply, by candlelight, by hand and horse. There were minds dreaming of motion, sound, energy, and stars. In quiet laboratories and dusty workshops. The seeds of the future were quietly being planted. Electricity, lighting the world. The flickering flame of candles and gas lamps. Is slowly giving way. To the steady, glowing promise of electric light. Cities like New York, London, and Berlin begin to sparkle after sundown. Their streets dotted with electric bulbs like modern constellations. Only a fraction of the world is wired. But the current is spreading. One bulb at a time. Power stations rise along rivers and rails. Trolleys hum instead of clatter. And electric bells begin to replace hand-cranked ones in city homes. It is the dawn of the modern household. And it glows quietly. Medical discoveries. In hospitals, a quieter revolution is underway. Doctors begin to wash their hands between surgeries. Microscopes reveal a hidden world of bacteria and blood cells. X-rays, discovered just 5 years earlier by Wilhelm Röntgen, are now beginning to help doctors peer gently into the human body. A silent glance beyond the skin. A ghostly glimpse at our bones. There is no cure for most illnesses yet. But hope is growing. Patiently. The beginning of quantum physics. In Germany, a man named Max Planck presents something strange. A theory that energy is not continuous. But comes in small, measurable packets, quanta. Most don't understand it yet. Even Planck hesitates. But this idea, tiny, trembling at the edge of classical physics, will one day reshape how we see the universe. It is the first quiet knock. On the door of modern physics. Travel and industry. The Paris Metro opens this year. With green Art Nouveau entrances blossoming above ground. And tiled tunnels buzzing beneath. Automobiles remain rare, but they are coming. In America, Henry Ford builds his first car. A simple box with a tiller. A seed of something vast. The Zeppelin, a great silver airship, takes flight in Germany. Lumbering, graceful, silent in its floating. For now, the sky is mostly for birds. But not for long. In factories, assembly lines are just beginning. Machines hum. Men and women learn to move with rhythm. Producing everything from matches to sewing needles to bicycles. It is not yet the age of the machine. But the machines are waking. Artist palette culture and the arts. Art, too, is changing. No longer confined to gilded portraits and solemn statues. The imagination stretches. Colorful, bold, and strange. Vienna and Klimt. In Vienna, painter Gustav Klimt stirs golden dreams onto canvas. His masterpiece, The Kiss, will not come until later. But already, his swirling lines and luminous tones are whispering something new. The Vienna Secession Group, artists and thinkers who reject the old rules, gathers in salons filled with soft light and fierce ideas. They believe art should be free. And beautiful beyond realism. It is art not just for the eye, but for the soul. Opera and music. In Rome, Puccini's opera Tosca opens its velvet curtains. Audiences weep quietly beneath chandeliers. As the soaring notes of love, betrayal, and sacrifice echo. Elsewhere, music is changing. In New Orleans, the roots of jazz are growing. In the thrum of street performers, in brass bands and ragtime pianos. Scott Joplin's melodies are beginning to dance across America. A syncopated heartbeat. In Paris, Claude Debussy writes delicate, drifting pieces. Like fog over water. Music to dream to. Literature and storytelling. This year, a children's book appears. L. Frank Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. A cyclone. A yellow brick road. A girl with silver shoes who seeks something more. It becomes an instant favorite. A bedtime story in many homes. A journey both gentle and grand. In Britain, H. G. Wells writes Love and Mr. Lewisham. And Joseph Conrad has just released Lord Jim. In quiet corners, readers lose themselves. In pages that carry them through time. Across seas. Into other hearts. Beatrix Potter and Peter Rabbit. A small story is beginning, soft as a whisper. Beatrix Potter writes and illustrates a tale. About a curious rabbit named Peter. Who squeezes under a garden gate. And gets into more trouble than he means to. She prints just a few dozen copies. But they are cherished. Later, the world will know Peter Rabbit well. But here, in 1900, he is still just a sketch on warm paper. A story passed from hand to hand. A lullaby in ink. Early cinema. And flickering on whitewashed walls in cafes and arcades. Short, silent films begin to dazzle. The Lumiere brothers' reels show trains arriving. Workers leaving factories. Families at the beach. No sound. No plot. Just motion. And yet, it feels magical. In America, Thomas Edison Studios film dancers, boxers, and vaudeville acts. Each reel is under a minute. But they hold the seeds of an empire of images. The world has started to dream on screen. Media and headlines. The pace of information in 1900 is gentle. Like a breeze through lace curtains. Carrying stories one by one. Never in a rush. Newspapers and print culture. In the great cities of the world. Newspapers arrive each morning. Stacked in neat piles at corner shops. Or delivered by boys on bicycles. Whose whistles pierce the dawn. In London, readers open the Times or the Illustrated London News. In New York, it's the New York Herald, the Sun, the Tribune. In Paris, Le Figaro offers polished prose. And engravings of current events. And across Europe, satire, politics, and serialized fiction. Live side by side on printed pages. These papers are often thick. The ink smudging fingertips and filling cafes with the soft rustle of turning pages. There are no photographs yet, only hand-drawn images. Soldiers in faraway lands, women in feathered hats. Steamships churning through oceans. Magazines and serialization. Popular magazines like Harper's Weekly, The Strand Magazine. And McClure's bring not only articles and gossip, but short stories and chapters from new novels. A reader in 1900 may have waited eagerly each month to read the next part of a story by Arthur Conan Doyle. Following the footsteps of Sherlock Holmes. Through foggy London streets. In serialized wonder. Headlines and prices. Some headlines this year. Queen Victoria celebrates the dawn of a new century. Tensions in China continue to rise. Invention at Paris exhibition dazzles thousands. Women protest for right to vote. A loaf of bread might cost 3 to 5 cents. A dozen eggs, 14 cents. A piano could be had for $250. While a modest home might be built for under $2,000. Most families owned a Bible, a clock, and perhaps a piano. Telephones were still rare. And the word television had not yet been imagined. News traveled slowly. By train, by letter, by telegraph. The world turned at a quieter pace. And people lived inside their days more fully. People born/died this year. As the great wheel of time turns, some enter the world with tiny cries, while others depart with quiet grace. Let us take a moment to notice those whose paths began, or ended, in 1900. Notable births. In France, a boy is born, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He will one day write The Little Prince. A book that speaks softly across generations. Filled with stars and foxes and the longing of childhood. But now, he is just a baby in lion. Dreaming only in sleep. In England, Spencer Tracy is born. A future actor, known for his quiet strength and humane roles. In Mexico, Gilberto Bosques takes his first breath. A diplomat who will later save thousands of lives during World War II. By issuing visas to those fleeing the Nazis. At this moment, he is simply held in his mother's arms. Also born this year. Helen Chandler, future actress of Dracula fame. Ernst Angel, psychologist and Holocaust survivor. Aaron Copland, who will one day compose sweeping American landscapes in music. Each of them, tiny and unknown. Wrapped in blankets and possibility. Notable deaths. And while new stories begin, some come gently to a close. Oscar Wilde, the Irish poet and playwright, dies in a quiet Paris hotel. His wit still echoing in rooms long after he is gone. Once dazzling, now discarded by society. He leaves behind works of shimmering beauty. And the eternal line. We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, also passes into silence this year. His fierce words and questions leaving deep footprints in the landscape of thought. And King Humbert I of Italy is assassinated. Struck down in a quiet protest against monarchy and injustice. His death ripples through European courts. Even as modernity creeps closer to royal doors. The world mourns. And continues on. As December 1900 arrives. The world wraps itself in snow, in song. And in the quiet hum of reflection. Families gather around fires and candles. Telling stories of the past. Dreaming gently of what's to come. There is a sense that something is ending. Not just a year, but an era. The long 19th century. Filled with revolutions, empires, inventions. Is giving way to something unknown. In England, Queen Victoria prepares for her final winter. She has ruled since 1837, longer than many can remember. The Victorian age is almost over. There is uncertainty. About politics, about industry. About how the old ways will fit into the electric light of the new century. But there is also hope. Hope in technology. In medicine. In a world more connected by wire, by steam. And soon, by flight. In small homes in great cities. Children hang stockings. Families prepare goose and puddings. And choirs sing softly in candlelit churches. The 20th century is just one breath away. No one can imagine how vast, how fast, how brilliant and terrible it will be. But in this moment, there is stillness. A moment held in balance. Like snow drifting through gaslit streets. The bells ring in a new year. And the world sleeps. Poised between centuries. Thank you, gentle listener. For spending this quiet stretch of time with me. You've just wandered through the world as it was in 1900. Softly, slowly. Like a dream returning home. If you enjoyed this sleep journey, I invite you to softly tap the like button. And, when you're ready, subscribe for more gentle voyages through time. Next, we may visit 1901. Or drift elsewhere in the folds of history. But for now, may your breath be slow, your dreams kind, and your sleep peaceful. The past is resting. And so should you. Good night. From Toro's History Lullabies.